Hi, I'm Max. I'm the creator behind Eat the Rich Art, and I use he, him, and they, them pronouns. I am here today because I have bought a lot of yarn in the past week, and a lot of it is brands that are new to me. So I thought I'd do a little yarn review. What I'm gonna do is I do have a version of each yarn. I think the only one I don't have, one that I've used before for, is the fur yarn, because I don't use fur yarn very often. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. I have a comparison that I've used before. I'm still going to review that for you guys so that you know like what I tend to like in a yarn as like a baseline. And then, right, sorry, cat distraction again. I am filming this on the same day as the start of my yarn I've used in November / what I've made in November video. So all of this is the same, and that's why. Anyway, yes, I have the yarn that I like to use as a baseline so that I can tell you what I already like about yarns and then compare so you can see a bit more easily why I do and don't like certain aspects. Getting on with it and stop letting my cat distract me. So, first of all is one that I have already started using, and I have used before. I've just not necessarily used the same like lines as I've used. This is this bit of the blanket here. I have already used up a full ball of this. So this was the Aldi Rainbow yarn in the blue variant that they've released this year. So this is this year's, specifically September's yarn event that Aldi did. So this was the rainbow yarn, and then I'm also using the Aldi Ombre yarn as well. So I've used the Ombre yarn before in the pink that they did in the first yarn event. I think that was either late last year or early this year. There's not much yardage on these at all, but I think they've improved their formula this time round, because that was so scratchy to work with. Like, it worked up soft, but while I was working with it, it was really scratchy. This time it's actually quite smooth. I wouldn't say soft, but it's not scratchy, it's not rough. It's just not necessarily soft. It's smooth. I think also they've been a bit more uniform with the stripes, because that's one thing that did annoy me when I was making that thing for my sister, is that I was having to go back and forth between balls to try and get the stripes in the right order. This one seems to be in the right order this time, and the ball has started with the lightest colour and ended with the darkest, which is quite nice. That makes it nice and smooth to put onto this blanket, because there's two tones that are in this that are also in the rainbow yarn. So it's, let me show you again. It's this lighter blue is the same as this one, and then this sort of mid tealy colour, if I can show you it over here. So this colour that I'm on currently is also in here. I think it's that one there. So it matches quite nicely, which is good. I think I've found, as far as using the yarn so far with this, the rainbow yarn was quite splitty. And that might be because I'm using a hook that's slightly too small, because this blanket has worked from a lot of different balls of brands of yarn. So I've tried to keep it consistent by using a 4mm hook, and this yarn calls for a 5. So that might be why it's being a bit splitty for me, but I'm having to be quite deliberate about my stitches. As soon as I get into a rhythm and I get up to my normal speed, it starts splitting. So I'm having to deliberately be slower with it. I haven't found that as much with the ombre yarn. The ombre yarn doesn't split as much. So if that's also your experience of this yarn, please let me know. Or if you've had like the opposite experience, I've seen some people say. So it seems to be quite inconsistent. I don't know whether that's because obviously they do these yarns in Australia and America as well. Maybe not Australia. I don't know. Australians, let me know. Do you have Aldi, and do Aldi do a yarn event for you? America definitely does. So it might be that the formula is slightly different in America or something. I'm not entirely sure. But either way, I'm enjoying using these. So this is an acrylic. Like I said, it's a 4 weight. So I'd say it's probably worsted or Aran. It's not quite DK. But yeah, that's that yarn that I've got. The other yarns that I've got to review, I'm going to show you now, but I've not used all of them yet, so I'll come back on and review them as I use them. Let's do DK first, or acrylic first at least. So this is the other yarn I've got that's new to me. This is Cygnet Breen in DK, and this is the Polar Night colourway. I just picked it up from a £1 bin at the Creative Craft Show. Drink your water, take meds. Yeah, this is interesting. It's almost like, I think it's twisted, but it looks like a chainette kind of yarn. I don't know if you can see that. But it's like, yeah, it's a really interesting texture. And it works up really pretty from the look of the photo that's on the packaging. Do I still have the packaging? Yeah, it's shoved into the ball. Pardon me, I remembered to keep packaging for once. The photo that's on the ball of how it works up, it's like, it's nearly got a trans flag actually in the middle, which is quite cute, and then it's got this like sort of snowy patchy stripe as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that will work up. My partner's not entirely sure what he wants out of it. I think I'll probably make a beanie and just double it up. That sounds about right, but I'll have to find a new beanie pattern because he doesn't like the cat ear beanie. Yeah, I have made one for him, but it's just not really the kind of thing he wears, so that's fine. But yeah, I'm going to try and find a different beanie pattern to make with that. Then the yarn I've got to compare it to that I've used before is Paintbox Simply DK. I love Paintbox yarns so much. I'm so sad that their chenille chunky isn't EN71 certified because I love using that yarn, but I can't afford to pay to get it tested myself. So I've got this yarn in white, black, grey, orange. I think the purple I've got is also Paintbox. So yeah, I love it a lot. And that's what I tend to compare it to. This is soft. I love a soft DK. It doesn't split very easily because it's very tightly twisted. You can use it with a range of hooks. I've used it with as small as, I think, a 1mm is the smallest hook I've used with it because I was trying to get some really tight, tiny amigurumi. And yeah, didn't split once with that. So this is a yarn that I really love, and the colours are very smooth, very solid, which I like. I don't like a patchy yarn because sometimes you get like cheaper balls of yarn and some parts of it are faded or like it just looks a bit weird. So I love that this is always really smooth, and these are, I think, £1.80 or something a ball. They're quite cheap. You can get them on the Lovecrafts website. So that is that. This is Cygnet Colour Rush in the colourway Calypso. So it's a rainbow yarn. I know you can't really see it as much when it's caked. This I have 10 balls of because it was 10 balls for £20. And I'm going to make a hexacardi out of it. Straight away I can feel it's soft, so hopefully it works up very nice. It's quite thin, like it's, even for a DK it's thin, so I'm really hoping that it makes a nice cardi when I'm done with it. I might end up having to double it up, but we will see. This is James C. Brett Marble Chunky, machine washable. It's gorgeous. This is an acrylic. It's chunky, like I said, so you can probably see I've left it in the bag just because it's easier to store it in the cupboard because the yarn cupboard is very full. But there should be a rip around here somewhere. Oh no, maybe I didn't get the ripped bag. Either way, when I gave this a squidge at the craft show, it was just lovely. It's so soft, it's so silky. I'm slightly worried because it's got quite a loose twist, and I don't get on usually with loose twist yarns, but hopefully it'll be pretty and nice. So that is the last acrylic, definitely the last acrylic this time that I'm reviewing. So now we're on to chenilles and blanket yarns. So let's start off with this fur yarn. Oh no, the band's broke on it. I'm gonna have to take that back together because this falls apart so easily. This is the Ranges brand Devante Finest. This cost me £3.50 for this ball. There's not much yardage on it, so I'm really hoping I'll get what I want to do out of it, but I'm going to make a wolf for my partner because it's just the perfect wolf colour. Great for beginners and experienced knitters. I wouldn't give a fur yarn to a beginner. Are they for real? Either way, it's kind of like a ribbon. I don't know if that will show on camera because it's very dark. Yeah, it's like a cotton ribbon that's got the fur on it, so it shouldn't shed. That might be a better bit to show you. And that means as well there is a wrong side to the yarn. So that will be easier to see stitches rather than when it's just a tube of fur and then it's really hard. So cross your fingers for me. Last time I used fur yarn, it put me off knitting. I was like 11. I tried to use this teddy bear. I mean, I say fur yarn. I think now, knowing what I know about yarn, I think it was an eyelash yarn. But it was just so horrible to work with that I haven't knitted since I was 11. If that tells you anything. So, yep. Fur yarn. Then I think blanket yarns is going to be the next easiest thing to talk about. I have used one blanket yarn before, and that was Lavinia. I don't have any of it with me to compare, but I have used it. I like that it doesn't shed. I like that it's easy to make things that are big and fluffy without losing track of your stitches or having to put too much work into like going around and around and around and around, because things just work up a bit bigger than they would in chenille. And yeah, really enjoy Lavinia. It just, again, it doesn't have the right certificate, so I've had to stop using it. So I'm looking for a replacement, and the closest replacement I found texture wise is Alize Veluto, and I checked and it's got the right certificates, so I bought 4 colours of it at the craft show for £4 a ball from Natty Knits. If you want any Alize Veluto and you're in the UK, Natty Knits takes orders through WhatsApp. She will order any colour for you and she charges £4 a ball, so just let her know. I think she's on socials as well. But it's like, rather than being a tube, it's like a tape, which this is the closest I found to Lavinia, because Lavinia is also like a tape, so it shouldn't shed as much. It feels nice and soft. I quite like it. I am slightly concerned about how small this ball looks and feels, because it's quite a dense yarn and this is 100 grams. So I'm not sure on the yardage whether I'll get the same out of one of these as I would out of a ball of chenille, but if I don't, I've got somewhere I can order it from, and I've got 4 colours, so that will give me the ability to mix and match it a bit. I've got this, I've got a light green, a dark green, and a white, so I'm looking forward to reviewing that for you. The next one I got was Bernat, and I've got it in a few different styles. So this is just Bernat blanket, just the plain normal Bernat blanket in the grey. This is dark grey. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm slightly worried about the texture because it's soft, but it's not like soft. Like, it's not fluffy, it's just soft. So I'm a bit interested to see how that comes out in a plushie. We'll find out. And then the next one I got was baby blanket twist. And I've also got just some normal baby blanket that's not twist. Again, I'm a little bit worried about this because there's a bit here that's already untwisted, and I don't do well with yarns that can untwist while you use them. I just don't like it. So I'm slightly worried at the amount I bought. It was £12 for 2 balls, so that's £6 a ball when it's usually £12 a ball. So it's basically half price. But yeah, so that's going to be interesting to use. I do, like I said, I've got some just normal baby blanket in white as well, so I can compare. I think baby blanket's slightly thinner from the look of it, so I can compare the baby blanket to the blanket and also compare the non-twist to the twist. So that will be the review that's coming up. Then for chenille, we have Himalaya Dolphin Big. I have tried one yarn in this weight before, and that was King Cole, I think. I'll flag up on the screen what yarn it was I tried before, but that was very harsh on my wrists. It was very stiff. This feels a lot floppier, which I'm hoping is going to be nicer to use, because I want to make some big things, like some bulky things. So if I like this, I'll order it in some more colours and make a few bigger things. The one thing I do want to make is a giant bee. So they do that in a very nice yellow and a blue. So if I like it in the pink, I'm planning to make a Bronto out of it. If I like it in the pink, I will buy it in some more colours. But I got that for £9 for that ball, which I think it's like £12 online, so that was a bit of a bargain. And then the last thing I've got that is new to me is Himalaya Dolphin Star. It's slightly sparkly. Will it show on camera? I don't know. Yeah, you can kind of see it twinkling. Yeah, again, this feels quite starchy, so I'm not entirely sure about it, but I know a lot of people like it, and I wanted something sparkly, so I'm going to give that a go. And then they will be compared to, this is Yarn Smith's Chenille Chunky. This is my current favourite chenille yarn. I've got it in a load of colours. This is the one I've been using for all my Halloween prep. It's nice and soft. Some colours don't shed, some colours do. The darker ones shed less than the lighter ones. I think this is going to be one that doesn't shed very much. Apart from, for some reason, the pastel pink and blue just don't shed. So if you're looking for yarns that just don't shed, Yarn Smith Chenille Chunky and pastel pink and blue. Everything else is quite sheddy, but that's fine. Don't mind a yarn that's a bit sheddy as long as it doesn't shed much when I'm trying to sew things on. The white in this yarn is terrible for that, but every other colour I've not had issues with. And yeah, that's what I'll be comparing all of the chenilles to. Again, I like it because it's fluffy, but it's still firm, so I can still see my stitches. It's nice and soft. So that's what I'm looking for when I use the rest of the yarns. I will also kind of be comparing the blanket yarns to that, just because I don't really use blanket yarn that often, so I can't remember fully how it was to use the Lavinia. So I will also kind of be comparing it to the chenille and working out if I want to switch to blanket from chenille or if I'm happy to stick with chenille. So that was a very long ramble. I'm gonna go now and then I'll pop in every now and then when I've used one of these yarns and let you know how it was. I'm back from trying to use up the Himalaya Dolphin yarn. Let me review. So this is the Bronto that I've made. As you can see, it's massive. My wrists are hurting from using it, mostly like here because I used, and like on my knuckle, because I used a 7mm hook for this and I don't usually use bigger than a 5. So yeah, that was interesting. I've embroidered eyes on, so the eyes are embroidered using Yarn Smith's Chenille Chunky. But yeah, one big Bronto, and this is the amount I've got left of the ball. So if anyone was wondering, this Bronto is the Kaylee Crochet's Bronto. So with a 7mm hook, it uses about 175, 176 grams of yarn to make this, which is nice because the other massive chenille that I've used before is the King Cole Super Softy or something like that. Super Yummy, might be Super Yummy, and that took 2 balls of yarn to make one of these, but I think they're only 100-gram balls, not 200 grams. So my review overall of the Himalaya Dolphin Big is it is nice and soft, it's fluffy, it's not starchy, it's not stiff, it's nice and light. You can probably see it there flopping around, which is a problem I had with the King Cole when I used it, was it just killed my wrists because it was so stiff. So I think that took me 2 or 3 sit-ins to complete a Bronto, whereas I've done this guy in probably about an hour and a half, which granted is slower than it usually takes me to do the Brontos. Probably an hour and 45 actually. It usually takes me about hour and 10, hour and 20 to do a Bronto. So it has been slower because of the thickness of the yarn. I can't go as fast as I normally do, but that's to be expected with a thicker yarn, so that's understandable. Whereas the King Cole Bronto, when I did that one, yeah, that took me 3 sit-ins and I couldn't do more than sort of 45 minutes at a time because it hurt so much to do. I've really enjoyed using this. It definitely makes me want to give the normal sized Himalaya Dolphin a go. I'm a little bit wary of the Dolphin Star that I bought because that feels quite starchy, so we'll see how that goes. But like, this is a really nice texture. I'm really happy with this. Definitely recommend it if you're looking for a massive yarn to use. It works well for Amy. It's yeah, my tension was good. I wasn't having to mess with my tension too much. Stitches were smooth. It was easy to see the stitches. Like, you can see the stitch definition is quite good still. Didn't shed all that much actually, which you'd think for a thicker yarn it would shed more than a thinner chenille, but I've got like a little amount of fluffies and that's it really. So that was like, it shed a little bit at the start and end because with the legs you have to cut off after each one and then you crochet them all together. So the start and end of the yarn sheds, but in the middle when you're actually crocheting with it doesn't budge, which is really nice. I've been using the Cygnet Colour Rush. Again, this is the colour Calypso. I think I'm about halfway through the rows on this piece of the cardi. So you get a bunch of yarn on these. I'm really enjoying working with the yarn. It's soft, it's nice. It is weirdly, on one side it's really fuzzy and then on the other side it's not. I might have said that the wrong way around, but yeah. So that's going to be interesting. I think it's going to end up with a little bit of a halo once it's washed. And yeah, very smooth. It's not splitting really, which is nice. I'm using a 4mm hook because that's what the pattern said to use. It's a good yarn. I'm definitely enjoying it. Definitely got a good bargain on it. I'm not regretting buying it. I'm just regretting how much I bought. Yeah, that is my review of Cygnet Colour Rush. It's gorgeous, honestly. Like, the gradient I'm getting is really fun. The only problem I'm having is the colour changes are quite short. So obviously down at the start of the cardi that worked quite well because I've ended up with a really nice gradient. But now, because of the amount of yellow that's in it, there's a lot of yellow and orange. I'm ending up with like a yellow stripe and orange stripe, then one colour, and then a yellow stripe and orange stripe, and then one colour. And then sometimes it like kind of changes, but sometimes it doesn't, and that just, I'm not as big a fan of how much yellow and orange there is specifically in these balls, but that's okay. Give me a bit more purple, give me a bit more blue. I had this issue when I was using the Hayfield Spirit as well. There's a lot of yellow and orange and not a lot of the green to purple side of the yarn. So yeah, if anyone knows a rainbow yarn that has more of the green to purple in, or even just a variegated yarn that's green, blue and purple, that would be really nice. Please let me know. Thank you. And that is all I have for you. I'm going to stop rambling and go. I have used some Alize Veluto. Now, I still want to do a full project in the Alize Veluto. And if I do that before I'm finished recording the rest of this video, then I'll pop on and do a second review. But for now, I used it for most of the cap of the mushroom. That brighter spot on the top is a different yarn because I ran out. I have since realised that I had more of the paint box, but I decided to continue it in Alize Veluto anyway, for some reason. So, I liked it. Is the headline. It's soft, it's fluffy. I was able to move up to a bigger hook size, which was nice. So that's ended up, this is the normal size in paint box and this is the other one. So as you can see, the head's a bit bigger. I've also gone a bit longer because I was just trying to use the flesh up. So he's a bit girthier. Anyway, back to the Alize Veluto. So yeah, it's nice and soft. It doesn't fray, it doesn't snag on itself when you frog it, which is really nice. The one thing I'm not sure about with it is that because it's like a ribbon, so the fluff's kind of on either side and a bit along the top, and then the bottom's thread. Sometimes you hit the harsh a bit with the hook and that's not very nice, or like the way it's gliding along your fingers quite rough and that doesn't feel great. But otherwise it's quite nice. I enjoy the difference in texture. It's not quite as soft as paint box though, I've got to say. Like, there is just a certain roughness to the way that the fluff is on it that compared to the chenille isn't as soft, which when everyone's like singing the praises of Alize Veluto because it's just so soft, guys, and it doesn't fray and all of this. They're right, it doesn't shed is the word I'm looking for. It doesn't shed. but it isn't as soft as other yarns I've tried before. Especially when, so the Paintbox yarn chenille, no, this isn't Paintbox, this is Yarnsmith's chenille chunky, isn't as soft as Paintbox. Paintbox is softer, but they don't have the N71 certificates, which is why I moved over to Yarnsmith's. And Yarnsmith's is still softer than Alize. I don't think I'll be moving over to Alize full time, unless I want to use it to make my projects a bit bigger, because it is definitely bigger. And like I said, I went up a hook size. I'm using a 5. I think most people from the sounds of it use a 6, a 5.5 or a 6 with Alize. I don't know if I'd go quite that big, because there is already a few gaps in it using the 5. But I might go up to a 5.5, I think. Sorry, bear with, just fixing a bit of fluff there. But yeah, so that is my review. I like it. I found it cheaper actually than I paid for it online. So I paid £4 a ball for the Alize Veluto at the yarn show, and at the Creative Craft show, sorry. And I found it online for €3 a ball, which is about £2.80. So if the shipping's not ridiculous, that might be my new way of getting Alize. Throgs nicely, doesn't shed, is soft, just not quite what I'm looking for in a yarn. I do prefer it to the Lavinia though, so that's something I think I said at the start, is the texture of Alize is quite similar to Lavinia, and it is softer than Lavinia for sure, so that is a benefit. But yeah, that's the review. Hello, I am back and I have tried another one of my yarns. So the yarn that I've tried is Himalaya Dolphin Star, and I used it as the hat on this guy and as a loaf. I'm not gonna lie, at first I was really disappointed with this yarn, because this green, I don't know if I've just got a bad ball of it or if it's a problem they've got with the darker colours, because some yarns have that problem with darker colours. But it's starchy, it's stiff, it's squeaky. It is horrible to work with, like truly awful. Like I was sitting there having to apologise to my fiance last night while I was trying to make this hat because it was squeaking so bad. So I'm not looking forward to having to use the rest of this skein, but I'll try my best to get through it. And I was like, oh, have I bought 2 balls of this thinking, oh, that's gorgeous, it's going to make really cute Christmas trees because it's glittery and all of that, and they're both going to be awful? But no, luckily I've just this morning just whipped up like a quick chain and done a couple of single crochets with the red, and that is soft and smooth and buttery and gorgeous. Because I love Himalaya Dolphin Big, and I've only ever heard good things about Himalaya Dolphin, like the main line of the yarn. So I was like, oh, is it just the star that has issues, like, or if I just picked bad balls up? But I think I've just picked up a bad ball of the green. The red is lovely and buttery and smooth and fluffy. So the red actually is really similar to the Yarnsmith Chenille Chunky with just how soft it is. It's gorgeous. And it doesn't look like it sheds too badly either. But obviously I only worked up a couple of single crochets, so that's fine. You can feel the texture difference in how soft and smooth this is versus this feels a little scratchy in comparison. Like it's still soft, it's just like a bit starchy. So yeah, that's a shame. It is going to be interesting, because I find that the British yarns, so Yarnsmiths and Paintbox and Snugglepuff is the other one that I've tried, they don't have the same consistency issues as a lot of the American brands do. I know Himalaya is a Turkish brand, but I've never had this problem where I've had one really horrible ball and one really nice ball of the same brand of yarn. They've all been just gorgeous. Now, it could just be that I've got lucky with what I've bought, but I've never seen that issue before, whereas when I see American crocheters talk about like Premier, for example, they seem to be really inconsistent. Like, you'll get people sending balls back because they don't feel great, or the dye lots will just be off, like visibly off. I've never had that with a British yarn, where they're so bad I can't use them together. So sorry if you can hear the cat. She seems to wait to be noisy until I'm filming. Every single time. She's been silent this morning, and then I'm filming and now she's noisy. And Premier as well seem to have the issue where they just can't keep their colours in stock. Whereas again, I've never had that issue with any British yarn brand. Like, even trying to place the order for these, the only issue I faced was that I'd accidentally tried to order 4 balls of yarn in white, and luckily I only needed 2. And they had those in stock, but they didn't have enough to send me 4. But then it was restocked a couple of days later. They've got white again now. Whereas, like, I've seen people say with Premier, especially with the browns, it seems, for some reason, they'll wait like weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and then it'll be restocked and it'll sell out in like a minute, and then they'll wait weeks again. So I don't know what that issue is with the supply chain and stuff, so that'll be interesting to see if I continue to face this issue with like Turkish yarns and American yarns, with the consistency and stuff. But yeah, it's alright if you get a good ball. I think this will be one that I probably only buy if I've gone to a craft show and if I've had the chance to feel it and stuff. Obviously when I picked this ball up, I didn't notice that it felt more rough from the ball initially, but as soon as we tried to wind it, you could see it was stiffer. As soon as I tried to work with it, it was stiffer, so maybe next time I go to a yarn show, I'll make sure I give it a good stroke, or have a hook in my pocket and just do a couple of chains off the edge of the ball or something just to test it. But yeah, it's pretty though. I don't know if you'll be able to see because it's winter, so the light's shit, but it's glittery and that's cute, and he's made a cute little otter. So hello, I am back and I have a yarn review, and I also have something to add to the list of yarns that I'm reviewing because yesterday I opened up a delivery from my lovely favourite fan Christine, who has been such a kind friend to me and to the channel and to the business, and I sent a bunch of yarn. So part of what she sent is a yarn that I was going to review anyway. So if you can see these here, that's all James C. Brett marble in different colours to the red that I originally bought. This is the balls that I originally bought. So those I can't do mirrored. Those ones are also James C. Brett marble chunky, and she also sent me this gorgeous purple colour in the same yarn, so that's what I'm going to be reviewing in a moment. But in that package there was also a bunch, if I go this way, there we go, a bunch of Parfait chunky, which is a yarn that I've been wanting to try for a good while, but it's bloody expensive to get over here. Like, I'm talking, I had to look at just buying enough colours to make a bee. I was like, right, if I buy the colours to make a bee, I can do bears in that, it'll be fine, right? So for those 3 colours, it was going to cost me like £30 for 3 colours. And I usually pay £3 a ball for this stuff, that stuff that's there. So that would have been like triple the cost, which, with how low my profit margins are, I can't afford to make it triple the cost. So lovely Christine messaged and was like, hey, I got this stuff, I've bought a lot of it, do you want some? Because I'm not sure if I'll use it all, and obviously I can't turn down free yarn. So we have some Parfait chunky to add to the list of things I'm trying in this video. All that to say, it's time to review this, and that's added to the list. So the way I've worked this hat, I've done it that I started with just basic double crochets, and then I've moved into front post back post ribbing here. So this bit where it's all flat is still really nice and squishy and cozy, which is nice. It's soft. It didn't split much when I was crocheting with it, which is nice because I am awful with acrylic yarn. It doesn't matter what yarn it is, what hook size I use, I will always get some splitting just because I go too quickly. And like the way I hold my tension and stuff, and it's all a bit weird and I end up splitting my yarn anyway. So to not have many splits in this was really nice actually. And it's worked up on the double ribbon thing. It's so squishy and soft and I'm so happy with it. So that is the way this worked up. It's ended up in like these cute little stripes but still gradiented, which is lovely. Really love the colours in this yarn, and the other colours I've got to try out as well. They're all just beautiful. Weirdly, the red that I bought originally, this one, is the least variegated out of all of the yarns. So it has the least variation in the colour. So I'm really glad that I'm coming to you and reviewing this colour where you can really see how pretty it is. But yeah, it's gorgeous. It's so soft to work with. The one criticism I do have is that I tried this on and it really held that stretched out shape. It took me a lot of like squishing it back down for it to go back to the relaxed shape. So that is one thing I'm slightly worried about with selling this hat, is that I am going to have to put a little warning on it to say if it gets stretched out you need to squish it and wash it and lay it flat to dry, and basically reblock it. But yeah, otherwise gorgeous to work with, lovely and soft. Yeah, I'm really happy. I'm really looking forward to trying out the rest of them colours. And yeah, that is my review of James C. Brett Marble Junkie. Hello, I am back pretty quickly actually, with another 2 reviews for you. Shocking behaviour. So I think I checked in yesterday morning and that was for the James C. Brett Marble yarn. Just wanted to show you this quickly. So this is how the James C. Brett works up when you just work it as a normal straight double crochet versus how it works up with the ribbing. So yeah, that is how that works out. And also this little bit here at the end, just this one row, is the blue colour in the James C. Brett Marble. So I had to switch colours at the end because I ran out of yarn, but that actually matches quite well. So if anyone was wondering, if you want to work with this yarn and you want to use the purple and you were wondering if there's any other colours in the range that match well, the blue matches really well. So that's the end of the James C. Brett review. The 2 yarns that I used yesterday were the Premier Parfait Chunky and the Cygnet Breen Acrylic DK, which leaves us with 2 yarns left to review once I've reviewed these, which is the fur yarn and the Bernat. So I think that we're getting towards the end of filming for this video, which is really exciting. This will be the first video you see in December, so happy December, guys, because I'm going to finish this and be able to edit it before I finish my What I Made in December video. It's a bit of a relief because it means that I'm not going to be rushing the edit for the What I Made December video, but yeah, it's not quite what I planned. But anyway, enough rambling about video. I have yarn to review. I'm going to start with this one because this is an easy yarn to review. As you can probably see from the row of white at the bottom, this isn't just the Cygnet Breen. What I did do before I started this hat was I worked up just a quick swatch of the Cygnet Breen on its own. Say a swatch, I did like the first few rows of the hat just to see what it looked like on its own, and it was gorgeous. It was so silky smooth to work with. It wasn't stretchy. I did expect it to be stretchy because it's kind of a chainette yarn, just a little bit. So yeah, I was expecting it to be that stretch there, but there just wasn't. It was absolutely beautiful to work with. Very smooth, didn't split, slid off the hook nicely. Like, yeah, beautiful yarn to work with. It's definitely one that I'd like to get more of, and I'd like to see what other colourways they have in it if it's still around. It's got just the slightest bit of stretch to it, but not any more than you'd get from a normal acrylic DK. So when I did that swatch, I was like, it is working up nicely. It is working up chunky enough that I could have made the hat just out of that, but I wanted it to be properly chunky and cozy and nice, so I've carried it with an acrylic, a white acrylic DK, so I'm using the paint box Simply DK alongside it. And yeah, beautiful. It's so pretty the way it's worked up. You can see the speckles of the sort of peachy colour and black that's in it, and then the full stripes of green, blue and red. Yeah, it's a beautiful yarn. I really do recommend it if you're looking for a new brand to try. So that is that one. Then the second review I have for you is Parfait Chunky. I had some problems with this yarn. It was nice to work with. I enjoy the finished product, but it breaks easily. It sheds, the texture's inconsistent, and it hurt my wrist. So I think it is a yarn I will continue to work with. I have a lot of it, and I'm happy to work with it. It's just one that I'm going to have to be careful how I work with it, basically. So it'll have to be days where I know that I can rest my wrists and take breaks and stuff like that. It's not like a market cramming kind of yarn just because of the amount of strain it did cause. I used this, so this is Wonder Crochet's deer pattern that's on their blog. They used Parfait Chunky to make the pattern, and they recommended a 5mm hook for this pattern and this yarn. So I did that because I was like, I think that's about what other people have said that they use for Parfait, well, for Chunky at least. So yeah, I'll go for that, but I think I need to size up my hook because it did hurt my wrist. I'm in a position today where I've got a bit of pain in this bit of my palm and my thumb feels really stiff, and that for me tends to mean that I've strained myself. I've not used the right size hook, and I've had to work too hard to get the stitches in and out. Yeah, it felt really stiff to work with in a way that I don't experience with other yarns. So to compare it to the Yarn Smith Chanel Chunky, that glides on the hook. Like, it's not slippery, but it glides. You don't really have to put any work into moving your hook to make the stitches. It's fine. This, I felt like I was having to push the hook through the yarn because it felt stiff and it felt like it was sticking to the hook slightly, which is a problem I never usually have with my hooks because I've bought some really smooth hooks. So yeah, that was an interesting thing to find out. I love the way it looks. I'm really happy with the way it looks. This shine it's got to it is gorgeous. And this colour toffee as well. Like I said when I opened it, if you've seen my reel, my Happy Mail haul, I think I posted it on here on Instagram and on TikTok. So if you'd like to see that, it's around. But this is the perfect light brown that I've been after. This is the perfect cream that I've been after. Because these are colours that the UK yarn brands struggle to have nice versions of. I love the colour range with Parfait Chunky so much. But yeah, interestingly, I watched a yarn review today from Yarn and Whimsy. It's her like hour-long part one of her yarn review that's come out fairly recently as I'm recording this, so that's today's 21st November. I think it's come out in the past week, so it probably came out mid-November-ish. In that video she talks about Parfait Chunky and she compares some she got a couple of years ago to some she's just bought. She said that the pink that she got, it wasn't very clear in the video which pink it was, or at least I didn't catch that, so I don't know if it's the light pink or the bright pink that she's got. But she said in that she just didn't even bother working with that skein because it turned out really squidgy, was the way she called it. So like starchy and weird textured, basically, is how I'd describe it. So she described that, and that's I think what's happened to the skein that I've got, with the light pink, and that's just not an issue I've ever seen with a UK yarn brand. Anything I've ever got from Yarn Smiths, from Snugglepuff, from Paintbox has always been the same texture consistently across all of the colours. I think the only time I've seen a difference in texture is with both Snugglepuff and Yarn Smiths. If you order the light blue and the light pink, they're slightly stiffer and slightly more dense and less fluffy than the other colours. They're still smooth to work with, they're still gorgeous to work with. There's not a texture difference once they're actually worked up. Not a noticeable one anyway. But yeah, so that's the only slight, it is very slight texture difference that I've experienced with any UK chenille yarn. Parfait seems to have it between colours, between lines, between dye lots, between anything. You can get two balls of yarn that are the same dye lot and they're completely different textures, and I don't understand how they do that, and they need to sort their shit, I think. So yeah, Parfait's not something I'll be buying myself. If people offer it to me, I'm always happy to take free yarn. I'm never going to complain, and I will use it. But I'm okay for buying it myself, basically. And yeah, that comes to, after that little rant about how Parfait Chunky's a bit weird, that brings us to the end of the reviews for today. Right, back for the last two-ish reviews of the video. I say ish because obviously I did have multiple different kinds of Bernat blanket to try out. So we've got Bernat blanket in baby, twist, and just normal Bernat blanket, and then we have the fur yarn from the range to try out. So let's start with the fur yarn because that'll be the easiest to review. So this is the guy that I made using it. As you can see, I did have to trim the yarn around his eyes slightly to make them actually be there, but yeah. This is the reindeer crochet, and now this is the reindeer pattern by Wonder Crochet, except I adapted it to have pointy ears and not have antlers to make it into a dog. I also added a tail, which has gone slightly wonky. I don't really know what I can say about this that you can't say about any fur yarn, to be fair. Worked up nicely. I used a 6.5mm hook for this. It's not, well, when you really shove your finger into it, you can get your finger in there. So I probably should have used a 6, but luckily this is for my partner anyway, so it doesn't matter as much. You can't see the holes, they're just in there once you really poke. Can't see stitches in it, but you can't really in any fur yarn. I was just kind of guessing most of the time where my stitches were to put the next one in. It sews nicely, it doesn't break, it didn't shed much even when I cut it. I think I got more fluff off trimming the eyes than I did off actually using it. It frogged easily. Yeah, that's all I can really say about it. I probably won't rebuy it just because I can't actually use it for anything for the table. This only used one ball of yarn up, and even then there was like a bit spare when I made the tail, so there's like quite a long end of the yarn just tucked in to the body. But yeah, he's cute, he's nice, it's a nice yarn to work with if you're not bothered about UKCA stuff with it. So if you're just using it for personal use, it's great. Or if you're using it for wearables, decorations, it's fine. Yeah, pretty good value for money for a fur yarn. The colour on it is really lovely because it's got the darker ends and then the white tips. Yep, lovely. Brilliant. Next up, Bernat blanket. So I had the blue twist, which I've used on this penguin here. And then that's white baby blanket. And then on the rat, I've used white baby blanket. This is Parfait Chunky. And then this is just normal Bernat blanket in the grey. Will say the baby blanket's fluffier. I think it's meant to be. I think that's why it's baby blanket. I haven't actually looked into that. Though weirdly, even though the twist is meant to be baby blanket, that's the same kind of like it's not rough, it's just more of a fleecy texture. So that's got the fleecy rather than fluffy texture to it that the normal Bernat blanket has, and then the white baby blanket's really fluffy. Yeah, it actually paired quite well with the Parfait Chunky, which I've seen like pretty much every American crocheter that's used them say that they don't pair Parfait Chunky and Bernat because Bernat's thicker, but they paired quite well for me. I don't know whether that's just because I was using it on like literally just little bits rather than actually combining them in the same project, but with the issue I had with Parfait before where the hook size I used was too small for it, and that was a 5.5, I used a 6 for this. I know it's 5 that I used for Parfait. I've used a 6 in total for this, and I think a 6 is probably what I'll use for Parfait going forward. And that worked quite well. I could size up to a 6.5, I think, in the Bernat. I think it would still be fine. That's what Katie uses, Celestial Homebody, because I asked her about it. But I'm happy with where it's at. The stitches are nice and tight. The stitch definition is lovely. I quite enjoy that. The definition is less so on the twist because the twist does hide the stitches, and I really enjoyed using it. I expected the twist to split. Didn't, because let's see if I can grab the ball down to show you actually. So with the twist, this isn't the ball I crocheted with, this is my second ball of it that I've got, but it's a really good example because on the end of the ball you can see the twist gets a lot looser, and also the strands start falling apart when you cut it. So I was expecting, because of that, and then you can see as well there's points in the ball where it's inconsistent. Yeah, I was really expecting to have loads of issues with it splitting and stuff, and it just didn't, which was really lovely. That might have been because of my tension or something, but yeah, no issues whatsoever with that. So thickness wise, the blanket and baby blanket aren't actually too different in thickness. The baby blanket is squishier than that's firmer, so this will go smaller if I increase my tension and tightness with it, whereas this won't really. The twist is thinner. I don't know if I'm doing a good job of showing that, but it is when you're crocheting it with it noticeably thinner. And then to compare as well, there is a noticeable difference in thickness between those. But then this is what Robin from Notting Hook Crochet would describe as Parfait skinny. This specific ball compared to then this ball that's got a lot more fluff to it is pretty much the same thickness there as the Bernat. So all that to say, in my opinion personally, I think I'll keep combining Bernat and Parfait if I need to, when I need to, in projects, because the texture difference isn't that noticeable once it's crocheted up. I'm going to be sorting my lap out while I talk to you, so sorry, ignore the faffing. Yeah, once it's crocheted up, the texture difference isn't too noticeable. The size difference isn't too noticeable, at least if it's only small bits in a project. I will keep an eye on making sure that I'm not using the skinnier balls of Parfait with the Bernat, because I think that will be a bit of a weird difference size-wise. Like, this works with the pink being skinnier because it's only tiny bits. But I think if I was to say do the white in a Parfait and the grey in the Bernat, then we might end up with some weird proportions. So yeah, overall, I'm very happy with Bernat. Obviously probably won't keep buying it consistently because there's some issues that I've faced with getting the AN71 certificate for it. If anyone has that available, please send it over. I did look online, and apparently there was a lady who was selling it for a while, but she seems to have disappeared from the internet. Like, I can't find her, so if anyone has the link to talk to her to buy it off her, or they just have it available, please send it over so that I can actually use this for markets. But I really enjoyed using it, so if I can't use it for markets, I'll probably make a blanket or something out of what I've got. I've got a good colour range for a blanket because I've got grey, blue and white and they go well together. So yeah, that is my review of Bernat blanket. Enjoyed it, liked it. Penguin, this orange yarn is a little bit of Lavinia yarn that I had left. The black that I've used for the eyes on both pieces is Yarn Smith's Chenille Chunky. I've just gone round a couple of times. And yeah, really happy. Free-handed that pattern, not gonna lie. I'll leave the pattern writer for this one in the description, and I will also leave this pattern by Wonder Crochet. Obviously, again, that is a deer pattern. It was the same deer pattern that I used for my Parfait Chunky deer. I just liked it enough that I borrowed the head shape, and most of the body shape I did end up having to shorten it because I ran out of yarn. And the same with the arms, I did them a bit shorter. So things have been changed, but if you want this generic body and head pattern, I will link that in the description. And that is however many yarns it ended up being in the end. I think 12, maybe 10? Somewhere between 8 and 12 different yarn brands tested and tried, and things have been created out of them. And I've really enjoyed this process. There's a couple more yarns I want to try, and I will be going to the Creative Craft Show again in March, so I'm sure I'll pick some more stuff up there. So you might see a second one of these next March by the time I come round to go into the Creative Craft Show and trying all of those yarns out, maybe April. But yeah, really enjoyed this process. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you again to Christine for sending me the Parfait Chunky to try out and a bit more of marble yarn. And I think that's everything I have to say in this video. So please like the video if you liked it. Please comment some stuff if you want to comment some stuff. It doesn't matter what. Talk to me about your day if you fancy it. But yeah, it'd be really nice to hear from you all. Thank you very much to Tracy from the Traveller's Wheel for giving me that shout out, because I have gained 6 or 7 subscribers in the past 48-ish hours since that video went live. So thank you very, very much. It is so much appreciated. I'm about to hit 50 subscribers, which, considering I talked about thanking you all for 25 in September, that's really exciting that I'm like nearly at the next sort of chunk of 25 subscribers. And yeah, so if you want and you don't already subscribe, please subscribe. Join the little club that we're forming. I've not thought of a name for you all yet. I can't really. I'm just probably going to call you all the friends, the fam. But yeah, so subscribe to join, to follow my journey. I'm just rambling at this point. I can't remember what I've told you to do and not do. If you have the hype option, I discovered recently, I checked my YouTube studio and it said that I should be able to receive hype points. So if that is an option for you on this video, please, 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 please give it a go. Hit that hype button. I know on mobile for Android, when you scroll down to the comments, sometimes there'll be a little dot thing on there to tell you that there's 2 slides, and if you swipe over, then it'll give you the option to hype, and that means that my video gets pushed to more people, which obviously for quite a very small channel, that is really helpful. NEIs means growth, means support, means that more people are getting to hopefully join the journey. And I can't remember if there's anything else. Oh, if you spotted something in this video that you like, with the exception of the giant rainbow cardigan, which is finished, and I didn't show you. Here she is. 2 weeks that took me. So with the exception of that, either it's already on my Ko-fi store, or if it's not, I'm happy to add it on. I think the Cygnet Breen beanie, this one, is the other exception to that rule, because my partner asked me for that one and he deserves to have a one and only piece from me. So the Cygnet Breen hat I won't be adding, and the rainbow cardi I won't be adding, just because the amount of work that it took me, the amount I would have to charge, I'm not doing that to anyone. That took me 2 weeks of pretty solid crocheting, so I'd have to charge like £400 or £500 for one at a bare minimum. Yeah, that's not worth your money, it's not worth mine. Unless you really fancy it, in which case drop me a message. But all of that to say, Ko-fi, if you like anything in this video, this is the other exception because it's not UKCA certified. It will probably be on my Ko-fi. If not, I'm happy to remake it for you. And that is everything I have to say. So have a nice day.